So I'm gonna go over this article. I just started reading into this article. I already knew this incident happened with another school shooting, which is very unfortunate. But when I started to read into this article, I was like, no way. Anyway, I'm gonna, among all of the insane things that I've heard thus far, this has to be the most craziest thing that I've in a while that I've read. Let me just read. This is crazy. I mean, parents of accused killer in Michigan school shooting arrested after a vehicle was found in Detroit. So this is by Ryan W. Miller and Janine Santucci. So this is out of USA Today. So this is in Detroit. So James and Jennifer Crumley, the parents of the teen charged in the Oxford High School shooting, were located and arrested early Saturday in Detroit, a little more than 2 hours after a citizen saw the vehicle and called the police. So, yes, they were both in custody and they will be on the way to the Oakland County Jail soon. So this was said by Oakland County Undersheriff Mike McCabe. Kudos to the Detroit PD and all the other agencies that assisted in this arrest. So authorities had been searching for the Crumleys since about noon Friday after they were charged with 4 counts of involuntary manslaughter in the shooting deaths of high school students in Michigan. So their son Ethan Crumley, he was only 15, is accused of fatally shooting 4 students and injuring 7 others at the suburban Detroit high school on Tuesday. Now, you probably are asking, why are they going to penalize the parents for this? Okay, let's read on. So the Crumley parents did not show for their arraignment on Friday afternoon in Rochester Hills, Michigan. So the U.S. Marshal Service issued a a wanted poster, and offered a reward for the information leading to their arrest. And so the investigation of the shooting and the search of the Crumleys was led by an Oakland County Sheriff's Office. So McCabe said that the vehicle was found at around 11:30 p.m. on Friday. And so you see the parents that are pictured here. This is the mother, Jennifer Crumley, and earlier up top was the father. And so Mr. Crumley, so the owner of the building arrived and saw the car in the back of the parking lot, and he knew it didn't belong there, so he went to investigate it. So McCabe told the Detroit Free Press, part of the USA Today network. So the building owner immediately recognized the car and the information that was put out by law enforcement, and he checked the license plate, which matched, and called 911 immediately. So by around like 1:45 a.m. in the morning, the Crumleys were under arrest. And so both Jennifer and James Crumley were each charged with involuntary manslaughter after Oakland County Prosecutor Karen McDonald said they bought the firearm for their son as a Christmas gift. Let me read that again. Both the parents of this kid that went in the school and killed students and injured 7, killed, I believe, 4 students and injured 7. The gun that he had was a Christmas gift that his parents bought him. So, during a hearing that started around noon, a lieutenant with the Oakland County Sheriff's Office said the parents were not in custody. And so the Oakland County Fugitive Team, along with several agencies, were searching for the couple as of Friday evening. So the action of fleeing and ignoring their attorney certainly adds weight to the charges. So it looks as though they had a reason to run away, and they knew what had occurred had something to do with that gift that they bought, of course. And so they knew they were just as guilty as the son himself. And so the Oakland County Sheriff Michael Bouchard said in a release on Friday that they cannot run from their part in this tragedy. But the family's lawyers said the couple was not fleeing. Okay, so this is the lawyers that represent them, of course. They were not fleeing from the authorities, they were returning to the area after having left town briefly amid the commotion surrounding this tragedy. And so we're supposed to believe that, allegedly. And so the Crumleys left town on the night of the tragic shooting for their own safety. Okay, that's how it's being said. So they are returning to the area to be arraigned. And their lawyers Smith and Merrill Lehman said this. So they have lawyers, of course. And so the gun had been stored in an unlocked drawer in their house, and the Crumley parents did not ask where it was when they were called to the school the day of the shooting for the disturbing drawing their son had made of this firearm. So McDonald said at a news conference on Friday that Ethan Crumley had posted about the firearm online, and he researched ammunition while at school. So McDonald said the investigation revealed this. So he posted it online. Okay, the firearm. And I'm going to stop right here because this is almost the end of this article. But I remember there were some people that had posted some things online, and they actually didn't go out and do anything. But, just as soon as they said they were going to go out, and they were sort of like, bluffing. They were angry and they were in the heat of the moment. And this happened a couple of years back where a young lady, she posted herself. She had what looked like knives and something else. And I don't know if she had a firearm or not, but it raised alarms, red flags right away. And before she could even open her door, they were at her door ready to arrest her. And they, I believe they deleted her account, or they suspended it. And here you got this kid, he posts this online, and he gets this as a Christmas gift on top of that from his parents. And then he posts this online, and then he makes the drawings. All the flags were there. When you post something online, I mean, how many red flags do you need? And then he makes a drawing. It's, I'm assuming it was at school that they saw the drawings. Nobody said anything. This isn't the first situation where there were a lot of red flags, but nobody moved, nobody acted right away as they do on others, and their antennas go up. But somehow, when it happens in these areas where it's in an involvement with suburbanites, or in an area where people, they would assume that unsuspectingly they wouldn't be a threat, that's when you hear some of the most gruesome tragedies that happen, all because somebody had an unlocked gun, or it was given to them as a gift, or somehow they were able to get an Uber and go take a ride to the school and create chaos and mayhem and a massacre. But they're so many red flags, but nobody acts on it. And then you hear these horrible tragedies. And yet again, we have another one. And so Ethan Crumley had posted this firearm online. So it says that he was allowed to return to class on the day of the shooting after the meeting with his parents. Let me read that again. He was allowed to return to class on the day of the shooting after the meeting with his parents, she said. I had to pause for a minute. So the fact of this case are so egregious, McDonald said. You think? It's sickening to hear stuff like this, but it goes on to say that Crumley's was charged Wednesday as an adult with murder, terrorism, and other crimes in what investigators described as a methodical and deliberate massacre. So when asked whether her office was looking into charges for any school officials, McDonald said the investigation was ongoing. So while the shooter was the one who entered the high school and pulled the trigger, there were other individuals who contributed to the event on November the 30th. And it's my intention to hold them accountable as well, she said. So here's what we know Friday. At a news conference on Friday, McDonald laid out how Ethan Crumley got the weapon, other warning signs in the days leading up to the shooting. McDonald said that Ethan Crumley was there when his father bought the 9mm Sig Saucer SP 2022 on November the 26th. Okay, so the same day, the younger Crumley posted photos of the weapon online, calling it a new beauty. So his mom said in a post the following day, Mom and Son Day, testing out. Oh, yes, testing out his new Christmas present, McDonald said. Clearly based on the statements of the shooter and the statements of Mom, that was his gun, McDonald said. So suspect drawing prompted worries. It prompted worries, and they were allowed, the mother and son now, to post online this new beauty, which was the firearm that killed these innocent children and injured 7 more. Nobody suspended that account. Nobody saw any red flags. The 15-year-old suspect was caught looking up ammunition online while at school before the shooting even occurred. So McDonald said that school officials contacted his mother about the online search, leaving a voicemail and email, but received no response. So Crumley's mother instead texted him the same day, LOL, I'm not mad at you. You have to learn not to get caught, McDonald said. This was what was in the text. Learn not to get caught. So hours before the shooting, Crumley was found with a disturbing drawing that included the firearm and someone who appeared to be bleeding, McDonald said. A teacher took a photo of this drawing and Crumley's parents were immediately contacted. When the drawing was brought to a school counselor with Crumley and his parents present, Crumley had altered it, McDonald said. The counselor told the parents their son needed to get counseling right away. So I take it this was before the shooting. See, these are all flags. But Crumley was able to return to class. He was able to go back to school. No problem. His parents did not ask him about the firearm at the time, nor did they search the backpack that he had, McDonald said. Of course, he shouldn't have gone back into the classroom, McDonald added. Immediately after they saw a drawing like that and discovered that he was posting online his new beauty, he should not have ever been allowed to go back into those classrooms, into the school. All of those were warning signs. And so, of course, that's what it says. He shouldn't have been allowed. But after reports of the shooting at the school, Jennifer Crumley texted her son, "Ethan, don't do it," McDonald said. So James Crumley drove home to search for the firearm and called 911 to the report that it was missing. Okay? Because, of course, they didn't want to get in trouble because of this Christmas gift. So they had to report it missing. Saying that he believed his son was the shooter, McDonald said. So I'm angry as a mother, and I'm angry as a prosecutor, and I'm angry as a person that lives in this county. And so there were a lot of things that could have been so simple to prevent this from happening, of course. That's my same words. That's what I'm thinking in my head. McDonald said this, okay? So this is the prosecutor who's on this case. So copycat threats circulated on social media. Immediately, that's what happened. And it feels like this is a copycat of what happened in Florida with Nicholas Cruz. Only this time, this one, you have this new beauty was a Christmas gift. And the districts canceled classes on Thursday out of caution for the student safety because you got other kids that see this and they think, wow, your name's in lights. You know, they don't get enough attention. They, living that suburban life and, I don't know what the parents are doing. Anytime you're getting guns for your kids as Christmas gifts. And I'm sure they're big supporters of, gun rights, but you're the bad version, I would say, and I'm going to say that because it's not the guns, I believe, that shoot people. It's people that are shooting the guns that are shooting the people. And so it's sad because it gets into the wrong hands of individuals who have all this money and, they have this privilege to feel emboldened that they're able to afford these guns and not only afford them, but that nobody will suspect that they would be a shooter. And so, as there's other people, as soon as you look like you're reaching in your pocket, they think that they have the right to kill you because they assume that you're going to pull out a gun and you may not even be pulling out a firearm. You might be pulling out your ID. And here you got people that are posting things online and they're calling it new beauty and it's Christmas gifts and to kids that are, real young and they've got all the signs that there's a disturbing event that is about to occur, but nobody's acting on it. And I would like to think that if it was someone else in that position whom we hear about all the time in, areas where you have students of color, as soon as they act up in class, they're ready to suspend you, they're ready to kick you out of school. And here you got this kid, he's drawing pictures and posting things online, and he's basically leading you up to what is horribly about to go wrong. And so it says, A 17-year-old student in Southfield, about 30 miles from Oxford High School, was arrested Thursday with a semi-automatic pistol. A bomb threat was also made at Southlake High School, about 45 miles from Oxford, and prompted a police investigation. So if you're making threats, we're going to find you, Bouchard said during a news conference. So there were copycat of this incident. Thursday was specifically called to address the estimated hundreds of copycat threats reported. School is not safe. And especially in these areas where you would think crime wouldn't happen. Seems like it's even more unsafe because you had all these threats since this shooting. It is ridiculous you're inflaming the fears and passion of parents, teachers, and the community in the midst of a real tragedy. So the FBI, Secret Service are also investigating these threats. There have been hurls of threats since the shooting. Not fear as much as it is people that are emboldened to do more killing in these areas. That's scary. So people who make false threats, even just a false threat, could face charges for false threat of terrorism, which is a 20-year felony, and misdemeanor of malice use of a telephone, McDonald said. So meanwhile, the parents were walking a fine line of ensuring their children's security without affecting their kids' mental and emotional health. And so I felt like I was going to throw up, said Jill Dillon, 51, recalling dropping off her 14-year-old son to school Wednesday morning. I agree. It's sickening and it's scary to think that you move to an area thinking, we're doing well financially and, we want to live a decent life. We want to be family people. And then you got those worries because you got somebody that thinks that we can get away with it. We can get away with this. It's sad. And now your kid is a victim to something like this. It's horrible. You don't know if you drop your kid off or they go to school if you're going to see them again after the day is over with. That is a real true fear for parents in those suburban areas and those areas that you would think that school shootings you would have the least worry about. It seems like it's the greatest worry. It is nauseating. It was nauseating thinking that I'm supposed to be taking him someplace safe. See, now I said this before I even read this, and he is really going to be safe. That's the question. Is he going to be safe? Is your kid safe? That is what those parents now are thinking. We moved out of the city to get away from this, and we moved right into the lion's mouth. David Rodden, a 14-year-old freshman of Northville High School, which stayed open Thursday, said the confusion of what's real and what's not was the scariest part. Everyone is on edge. I bet. It's just kind of weird being close to the situation, he said. Of course, because you try to move away from the drama, yet you're right in the middle of it. Fake social media accounts claiming to be the 15-year-old charged in the Oxford High School shooting began popping up even before his name was released by law enforcement. And some made threats about additional shootings and plans for revenge. While direct threats may lead to criminal charges, the spread of false information by way of deceiving accounts is a common problem in the wake of the mass shooting. often is not illegal and sometimes does not violate social media platform terms of service. How sick. Unfortunately, poor taste is not against the law. Poor taste? It's worse than poor taste. It's terrorism, emotional terrorism. It's inciting more fear. And those parents are scared to death because they don't know if they drop their kid off and, and here you are, you pay your tax dollars for that school and for that area and that city, and then you find out, you get a knock on the door that your kid is not coming home because somebody has, a few or a couple or maybe many marbles loose in their head, and they hatch a wacky ass plan to go and massacre innocent students because of the negligence of all the red flags that were seen, and people just assume he's not going to do anything. He's a harmless kid. But he's got disturbing flags that are popping up everywhere. But nobody suspects. None the wiser. So unfortunately, it says it's unlikely that any social media accounts that chronicle Crumley's alleged criminal activity remain active on the platform, said Cliff Lampe, a professor at the University of Michigan School of Information. No, there's going to be some stuff that's on the net. Some stuff can't be erased. It'll never go away no matter what you do. So in active threat situation, the social media accounts of alleged perpetrators are taken down through an opaque process. Lampe said so the platforms are alerted either by their own algorithms or by law enforcement because right now they're hyper focused on it. But when they weren't, you'd see that stuff everywhere. And I'm sure there's others for other schools and other places nobody's really paying attention and checking for because they don't think anything's going to happen. Nobody's acted on them. They've just seen the threats, but they don't take it serious until it's far too late. And so the tendency of social media platforms to make some users' accounts disappear in the night can help feed the creation of these fake accounts, Lampe said. So, however, the common practice of setting up sock puppets online would happen regardless, he said, of course. So, sock puppet accounts and spoof accounts have been part of the internet culture for almost as long as the internet has been around, Lampe said. And so this is by Ashley Nurbovig, Detroit Free Press. And so this is really sad that this incident happened. It's very disturbing. It's creepy, and even creepier to find out that the parents had an involvement with this. And the mother texts the boy saying, "Don't get caught." How's that for you? This story gets worse and worse and worse and worse. Just want to see what happens at the end of all of this. If these parents are given a trial, if it goes that far. I mean, it just doesn't, I just have a lack of any more words. Don't get caught. This is sad. This is truly sad.